they don't reach any conclusion, any inference. They just say, we see all these jets. It's interesting. Some of them are pointed at the sun, some of them away from the sun, and the ones that are away from the sun, they extend all the way.
The shock came in an instant. As XRISM sensors swept past 3I Atlas, the data stream flashed with something no astronomer had ever seen before. A massive X-ray halo, nearly 400,000 kilometers wide, blooming around the comet like a silent cosmic explosion. It wasn't chaotic or random. It wasn't noise or instrument failure. The glow formed a structured shell, expanding outward with eerie calm, almost as if the comet was breathing in high-energy light. Inside Mission Control, the first researchers to open the raw files froze. The signature was wrong in every possible way. Cold comets do not radiate millions of degrees hot X-rays. Coma interactions do not produce halos the size of planetary orbits. Yet there it was, sharp, repeated, and far too clear to dismiss. Within minutes, quiet tension turned into urgent, whispered panic. What disturbed them most was how quickly it appeared. They had only a 17-hour observational window, barely enough time for routine measurements. But during that short slice of visibility, 3I Atlas erupted with a glow so strong it overwhelmed parts of the spectral readout. Behind sealed lab doors, scientists admitted what none wanted to say publicly. This is not the output of a passive comet. Something is energizing it. The object's age, estimated to be older than the solar system, suddenly felt threatening. Its extreme speed seemed less like natural motion and more like momentum from an unknown past. Every old model, outgassing equations, charge exchange profiles, coma density predictions collapsed under the weight of this new data. And as the halo kept expanding with steady, unnatural precision, the question shifted from curiosity to fear. If this was the glow they caught in just 17 hours, what happened during the months when the comet was hidden behind the sun? Astronomers now suspect the most violent phase already occurred, unseen, unmeasured, and possibly irreversible. And with the halo still brightening, a terrifying possibility hangs over every research team watching the object move toward Earth. This might only be Phase 1, and no one knows what Phase 2 looks like. The shock hit the research team almost instantly. As the XRISM data streamed in, scientists froze because the comet's X-ray spectrum wasn't just active, it was impossibly clean. Carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, the fundamental ingredients of life itself, glowing in patterns no one had ever seen from an interstellar visitor. These weren't faint signatures drowned in noise. They were sharp, deliberate, almost arranged, as if the comet were broadcasting a chemical message into space. Within minutes, analysts confirmed the first terrifying truth. The ratios didn't match anything known. Not solar reflections, not atmospheric contamination, not galactic background interference. Every explanation collapsed. The elements appeared only inside Atlas's halo, nowhere else. Like a spotlight revealing something hidden deep inside the object, researchers began whispering the part no one wanted to say out loud. The alignment of the signals looked intentional, too symmetrical, too consistent. It resembled an emission pattern, not a random burst of charged particles. Even Hyakutake, famous for its X-ray output, never displayed clarity like this. Atlas had surpassed a giant of cometary history in a single observation window. Then came the theory that made the room go silent. What if Atlas was exposing its internal structure without meaning to, like something inside had woken up? The data spiked again, and again. None of the fluctuations matched solar wind activity. None aligned with known plasma behavior. It was as if the comet had its own internal clock, releasing bursts of energy on a schedule no model could explain. The deeper they looked, the more it felt like Atlas wasn't reacting to the sun, but operating independently of it. A darker fear spread through the scientific community. If these fingerprints were only the beginning, what happens when heavier elements show up? Elements that shouldn't survive interstellar travel. Elements forged in extreme, violent places. Supernova remnants, neutron star collisions, or regions of space humanity has never studied up close. If those appear next, it would mean Atlas didn't just come from another star system, it came from a hostile one. And now, it's heading toward Earth. Every new spectral reading raises one more terrifying question. Are we witnessing the comet evolve into a new phase, one no one predicted and no one understands? As the team prepares for the next observation cycle, a chilling realization settles over them. This is the first interstellar object in history to reveal itself with such precision, and absolutely nothing in human science explains what comes next. And the next data set is already on its way. The moment the sun shifted just enough for telescopes to see past its blinding glare, scientists felt a jolt of dread. For months, 3I Atlas had been hiding in the one place no instrument could safely observe, a volatile corridor where solar plasma storms could tear apart any normal comet. And yet, somehow, Atlas survived, or worse, changed. When XRISM finally caught its first glimpse, the data didn't just look strange, it looked wrong. The readings came back spiking, unstable, and far more energetic than anything predicted. Astronomers staring at live telemetry felt their stomachs drop. This wasn't the signature of a quiet interstellar traveler emerging from sunlight. It was the signature of something that had already undergone a transformation while no one was watching. The most terrifying part wasn't what they saw, it was what they didn't. The 17-hour window was so small that XRISM barely captured the glow before it faded to the edges of detectability. The faintness didn't mean Atlas was calm. It meant the telescope had snapped a photo of an event that was already ending. Some researchers whispered the same chilling thought. If the window had opened a few hours later, would we have seen nothing but the aftermath of a full detonation? Models ran overnight showed how the 400,000 km halo might have expanded during the blackout period. Some projections suggested it could have grown far beyond the Earth-Moon distance before collapsing. Others hinted the comet's interior might have ruptured and resealed, a process no one has ever witnessed or even believed possible. The timing felt surgical. Atlas became visible only after the suspected event had already peaked. It was as if the object waited for the exact moment humanity lost the ability to track it, then changed in the dark. Across observatories, a disturbing theory spread like a quiet rumor. What if the X-ray burst was not the main event, but the fading echo of something much bigger? And worse, what if the real cause is still building inside the comet, hidden beneath its surface? That question now haunts every research team, because the next observation window is coming. And no one knows whether they'll be watching a stable object or the beginning of something far more violent. The shock hit scientists the moment they measured it. An X-ray halo so massive it stretched almost the entire distance between Earth and the Moon. No comet in recorded history, not even legendary outliers like Hyakutake, has ever generated a high-energy shell of this size. Yet, there 3I Atlas drifted, wrapped in a glowing cocoon that looked less like a natural coma and more like a silent cosmic detonation frozen in space. The halo wasn't chaotic or scattered the way physics predicted. It was coherent, a smooth, measurable ring radiating high-energy photons far beyond what the solar wind could have produced. And that's what terrified researchers. The sun wasn't even particularly active when the glow appeared. This level of plasma interaction should have been impossible. As data came in, the arguments began. Some insisted the comet must contain ultra-dense, hyper-reactive materials buried deep within, now venting into space faster than models could track. Others feared something worse. The halo might be the byproduct of fragmentation, the comet shedding mass in sudden catastrophic bursts. But if that were true, the structure should look unstable, tattered, collapsing in every direction. Instead, it followed Atlas with eerie precision, moving like a controlled field rather than a natural plume. Why was it so symmetrical? Why was it so bright? Why wasn't it fading? One theorist proposed a chilling idea behind closed doors, a burst event. Something explosive, violent, and unrecorded may have triggered the halo earlier, possibly during the months Atlas hid behind the sun. If that happened, humanity hadn't witnessed the cause, only the leftover shockwave. But even that theory couldn't explain the worst detail. The halo was growing. Not fast, not dramatically, but steadily. As Atlas inches closer to Earth, scientists fear the energy field could intensify in ways no interstellar visitor has ever shown. If heavier particles begin interacting with the solar wind, the result could be an X-ray surge unlike anything our planet has experienced. And deep inside observatories, a silent question now hangs in the air, tightening the atmosphere with every passing hour. What happens if the halo reaches critical size before Atlas makes its closest approach? The moment the X-ray halo was confirmed, a quiet panic rippled through every mission control room monitoring 3I Atlas. Scientists had already labeled it the fastest, oldest, most volatile interstellar object ever recorded, but the new data destroyed even those extreme titles. Suddenly, Atlas was no longer behaving like a comet. It was acting like something operating under rules humans had never seen before. The X-ray flare didn't match any known model. It didn't rise with the solar wind. It didn't react to expected plasma streams. It simply pulsed on its own rhythm, as if powered by something internal and unseen. Behind closed doors, a new fear spread. Maybe Interstellar wasn't a description of its birthplace, but a warning about its physics. Researchers who once compared it to Oumuamua now dropped the word comet entirely. They whispered terms normally reserved for exotic phenomena, micronovas, unstable cryovolcanic bodies, even magnetically charged remnants from ancient stellar explosions. None of these labels felt right, yet all of them explained the data better than calling Atlas a normal icy traveler. Every new dataset only deepened the confusion. Spectral lines suggested materials forged in places far harsher than any environment in our solar system. Some readings looked like signatures of rare isotopes that shouldn't exist outside extreme stellar furnaces. Others hinted at radioactive dust that somehow remained stable until now. The more they analyzed it, the more frightening the possibilities became. If Atlas was carrying matter enriched by violent cosmic events, supernova debris, magnetar-forged particles, or high-energy compounds, its behavior near the sun could grow unpredictable fast. And perihelion, the most dangerous phase, was approaching. A volatile, interstellar object hitting maximum solar heating could trigger reactions no one has ever modeled. The worry shifted from what is it made of to what will it do next? By now, many scientists understood the truth they weren't ready to say out loud. This wasn't a comet they were studying. This was a cosmic visitor with physics that felt foreign. And just as they began to grasp what that meant, an even more alarming development surfaced, one that would force the scientific community to prepare for the next revelation. The moment 3I Atlas drifted clear of the sun's blinding interference, every major X-ray observatory snapped to attention. It wasn't a calm, scientific shift. It felt like the beginning of a countdown. Missions across Earth's orbit began reorienting with alarming urgency, each one racing to lock onto the object before the next change occurred. There was a quiet panic behind the scenes. Whatever Atlas had shown so far was only the prelude. Researchers now braced for the most important data set of their careers, and possibly the most terrifying. They expected clarity, but feared escalation. Would the enormous halo be larger? Would it break apart? Or worse, would it start behaving like something unstable? Every possibility carried a new kind of threat. The teams monitoring the data channels admitted privately that the glow could intensify violently as Atlas moved closer to Earth. If heavier elements appeared in the spectrum, or if a gamma flash emerged, it would not just be an anomaly. It would be a global-level physics alert. Even inside the observatories, disagreement turned into tension. A few astronomers predicted a harmless brightness surge, the kind comets sometimes show, but others whispered a darker scenario, a sudden unexplained spike in high-energy radiation, the kind no comet should ever produce. A spike like that could mean internal collapse, or something releasing energy from deep within Atlas itself. No one wanted to say it aloud, but everyone knew the implication. This object was not behaving like a rock, it was behaving like a reactor. The next round of observations could stabilize fears or ignite them. If the halo expanded, if the signatures evolved, if the internal chemistry shifted even slightly, it would confirm that Atlas was entering a new phase, one no human had ever witnessed from an interstellar traveler. The world now waited for the next transmission. A silent cosmic message from something older than Earth, older than the sun, older than everything humanity has ever understood. Every hour tightened the tension. Every silence felt like a warning. And as the signal windows opened one by one, a single question echoed across every control room. What if the next data set doesn't show calm, but the beginning of a transformation already in motion?